Now,
Sir.
yes, I have created the rubrics, no, for your final performance assessment. So if you look at the alert, okay, it's there already. And I also have uploaded sample codes. I hope it will not be difficult for you. No, although I know for most of you this is the first time that you do this. No, it's a CRUDS. No? It's a CRUDS application that you will create. A web-based CRUDS application that you will create. This is due on March 15, so more or less you have a month to go. No? And there are sample codes which I can show you. No? Uh, so this is the rubrics. No? You create the following tables. Do you follow? Teachers in MySQL now with the following fields. You have a teacher ID, which is integer, auto inc. You know what an auto inc, right? Auto increment. Okay, it's an auto increment and a primary key. A last name, teacher last name, a teacher first name, and a middle name. So you're also going to create another table with subject ID, which is also integer and auto increment, a primary key, and then a subject title, a subject number, transcript load, paying load, teaching load, which are integers. Okay, do you follow? Students with an ID student, also the primary key being integer and auto increment. Student last name, student first name, and student middle name. What you're going to do is to create a web page in Express that will allow us to create teachers, subjects, and students. Update teachers, subjects, and students. Delete a teacher, a subject, okay, or a student. Do you follow? So that's 20% each. And of course, the overall web page will have a 20%. We will discuss there might be no examples on the search, but we will discuss how the search is done. It's just a manipulation on the SQL statement. So you will be able to delete a teacher, a subject, or a student. And then overall, the overall main website is 20%. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a total of 100%. Any questions so far? Final assessment, final ano ito, no? Rather performance assessment due on March 15. Okay? Any questions, no? March 14, I'm sorry. March 15 kasi is what date is a March 15? Tuesday man kasi yung March 15, okay? So this is the week before the finals test. Okay, so it will be very hard to postpone. No? What I'm going to do is to inspect it on 14 and 16. I have to check this one by one, okay? Kasi there's no host from which you can launch the web page. Wala tayong host makukuha, di ba? It's good if there's a host, but there's nothing anymore. Wala na tayong makuhang host na libre. So I have to check this individually. And then you pass the zip code, no? Here, no? Any questions so far? By the way, there's a code that you can use. It's not perfect, no? You follow may mga errors, but I'll try to guide you on the errors, no? Because I'm more or less, no, getting the anong nangyari dito, no? Okay, Sabino is here. As I am testing the codes, no, I have noticed that there are errors, no. However, we can manage. It's not that intentional, no. It's because of the most probably because of the version update. The version that we are using is currently the latest version, and the code that they are using is a year or 2 years old. So that's why, no, may mga content version differences. It's a version issue, no. So you can have a lot of codes. There's rather tutorials, no. This is a very good tutorial, no. Express Handlebars by Sterling Axime, no. 14 short tutorials, and the last tutorial is a 1 hour and a half. 1 hour and 40 minutes tutorial showing a step-by-step example on how to create a CRUD. Do you follow? It has a source code. Do you follow? Nasaan ba yun? I have given you the, here it is, no? You can download the source code. It's called the Burger app. It's a sample application used to add the CRUD application, no? To search for menus in a restaurant. I haven't run this, but I will run this over the weekend and check for the error. But obviously there are errors, no? Kasi sa tutorials, there are already errors because of the, as I've told you, the version differences, no? So this is based on a language called a templating or view engine called Handlebars, no? There's another, no, sample node by TouchMake, which is done in EJS, or I haven't run this myself, but I'll try this. So kung gusto niyo mag EJS, I will describe what EJS is. You can use this as sample code, no? And then if you want to use Handlebars, you can use Aximes, no, sample code. Okay, do you follow? So you can, it will be a big help, no, to use the source code to create your performance assessment, so you will not be lost. Okay, everyone. So last meeting, I've shown you how to organize your no. There's a lot of examples in the web, no? Especially that Node.js and Express.js are becoming very popular, no? Because of being an open source, no? And then they were adopted by the most popular platforms like Google and Amazon. Okay, so it helps, no? It helps a lot to master the Express.js programming. Okay, so the creation of the routes will help you organize your your URL such that your main file, which is mostly your index that that JS, will not become very complicated. Once you have a lot of routes, you can subdivide them. For example, you can separate the routes for the CRUD for teachers, the CRUD for students, and the CRUD for subjects in 3 different routes. That's what I'd like you to do. Anyway, no? Do you follow? Any questions? So March 14, no? Take note, and then later next week, I will schedule the final formative assessment. Okay? So dito, no? May mga sample ito, no? So you won't get lost. There's a lot of examples. There are errors, but we will try to manage. Okay? For now, there's a templating engine, no? That is used in Node. There are so many templating engines that are used in Express.js. A template engine is also called a views language, no? A views engine. What is a views? No, the term views came from the platform, from the concept of MVC, no? Models, views, controllers. No? If you are doing Django and other platforms, all of them are already MVC based. No? Ang ibig sabihin ng models, databases, views, HTMLs, controllers, JavaScript. Okay, the way you know your rules. No, for the moment, we can define them as that. No, models, the database, views, the HTML, no, and then controllers, the JavaScript, the functions that you create. Okay, now a view engine is some sort of a modified HTML, a view language. No? Now, in the concept of MVC, no? View is actually the users, no? The user's interface, how the users look at the data. That's why it's called a view. The model is how the database manager looks at the data at the server, at the back end. So it sees it as a collection of tables. Okay, the database manager sees it as a collection of tables composed of records and fields. No? Now, on the view side, the user sees it as a web page. No? On the controller, no, the JavaScript programmer sees it as a set of JavaScript functions. Okay. Now, in Django, there's no. Is there a view engine? View engine in Django? Because the last time I've seen it, no, there's a built-in template language in Django, no, for creating views. Remember, views are dynamic HTMLs. They are HTMLs which can be manipulated during runtime at the server side. No, you don't have to use JavaScript's functions such as get element by ID, no, or the jQuery's dollar selector. You don't have to use them because the view language it's much more flexible to use. No? Now in Laravel, no, view engine in Laravel. The view engine in Laravel is called Blade. Okay, Blade. But okay, and then I don't know why it's called Blade, but the view engine in ASP.NET Core is sharper. It's called Razor. Do you follow? No, they are competing. Obviously, they are competing with each other. Now in Express.js, there are so many view engines in Express.js. Do you know them already? Ang dami nito, no? The original is Jade. It's called Jade. Okay? And then followed by Pug. No? Nowadays, there are two most popular engines which we are going to use. No? We are going to use HBS or Handlebars. Itong mga Pug, luma na ito pero maganda. These are still good, no? But we cannot take up all of them. They follow. So we'll only discuss two. We'll discuss Handlebars and EJS. Okay, Express Handlebars and EJS. EJS means embedded JavaScript. Handlebars is also a JavaScript library. You also have handlebars.js, which you can use on the front end. Do you follow? So you can use handlebars anywhere, no? So handlebars is very popular because it's not only used in Express, but it can also be used in any other platform on the front end. But the handlebars that we are going to discuss is the handlebars that is used in Express.js. Okay, any questions so far? And then you should be able to translate as a student, no? You should be able to translate from handlebars to EJS and EJS to handlebars. Okay? Do you follow? Language lang ito no? Language. They're just languages, no? So therefore, you'd have to do functions, no? Variables, no? If then else. Ganun lang naman yan, di ba? Everything is like that. So you have a 17 tutorial set of tutorials ending with a very good tutorial, no? Which is a CRUD, an actual CRUD in handlebars. And then we'll discuss today step by step. You read this, no? Because there's an error in the step-by-step guide because of the version difference. And then you will have an EJS video series by 7. These are short tutorials, but once you're familiar with handlebars, it will be easy to learn EJS, no? And then we'll also take up, there's also a supplement video on AJS layouts and parcels. We will try to discuss parcels and layouts, by the way. No? And then you can convert handlebars to EJS. And of course, if you know how to do that, you can do it the other way around. No? There's a special video optional, no? Because you can use this in printing, how to generate PDFs from HTMLs. Okay. Any questions? So today, we are not going to use the routes yet because I'm going to show you a very simple demo on how to use handlebars. So, okay, handlebars.js ang tawag. That's a full name. Handlebars.js is actually a superset of an old language, of an old templating language called Mustache. No, because the main symbol that is used looks like a mustache. No, it's a double brace. No. It's like a standing mustache, no? Do you follow? So we'll go through this, no? Step-by-step guide for using handlebars. No, this is easy, no? And we will also try to incorporate CSS later, no? Do you follow? Nagkaka-error siya paminsan. I don't know why. It may be because of my talagang yung yan, na may error pa rin, no? Anyway, we'll try to manage one. So, kada yung actual guide, no? Ayan, okay? I have to refresh, no? So we'll create a project. What we are going to do is primarily, no, hindi muna tayo mag if then else, no? And then loops. We'll do that later. What we are trying to do, we'll do here is to incorporate partials, no? Partials so that we will be able to avoid duplication of code. And we will try to incorporate CSS. If we have time, we'll try to incorporate Bootstrap or even W3, okay? They follow. So you'll have to install, create a new project, install Express and Express Handlebars. Okay, do you follow ito? Okay, let's just do this, no? Let's just copy and paste. Now let me look at my, let's open this, no, folder in Visual Studio Code. It's an empty folder anyway, so we'll just, okay. I cannot view this in full screen because I also have the web page, no, to display, no. So we'll just open the folder. So this is in Drive E, and this VS Code projects, HBS, CSS and partials. Okay, this empty, no. Okay, so to start a new project, we say np init. Any questions so far? np init. Balik-balik lang ito, no? Okay. Yes. So now we have a package.json. Okay, meron tayong package.json. And then we will install, as indicated, we will install Express, no, as usual. Pwede ito sabayin, no? Express and Express.js. And Express Handlebars. You can install this together by just moving them with the space. Okay, it's done. Is it done? I think no. And then we will install also our We will also install our handlebars. Okay, there it is. No, how to install handlebars? It's in the guide. No, do you follow? Okay, and then now we can create a server.js, no, which will contain our main server. Okay, dito, no? We'll just copy and paste this, no, kasi this is just what, anyway, this is what it does, no. It's going to ito na lang, itong final this is the final version, no? It's going to declare express. Can you see that, no? And then the usual, no, it creates a copy of an instance of express, and then a port of 3000, and then this creates the handlebars, no, this one, and this thing sets the view engine, because you can choose different view engines. When we say up.set view engine handlebars, they're pointing to this, no, as the handlebars, and this becomes also automatically instead of .html, our code will become .handlebars because of this, no? Do you follow? Okay, so we'll just copy this. There's an error in this code, no? I'll show you. You have to read no. We'll just copy this anyway, and then we will leave remarks this one, no, the main, because we don't have a main file yet. We'll of course we'll still edit this, no. Hindi ko masyado gusto yung kanyang pagka-create. Just a slight no. Medyo medyo complicated, no. Okay, and then we save all is Control KS, and then we'll run this as node server.js. I will not run now. Take note, there's an error. It's because now if you read the update, no, there's an error somewhere here, no. It's app.engine handlebars. You have to use handlebars.engine. Okay, yun lang naman ang dyan, error, no. So let's try to node.js. Yes, now we're okay. Now the problem is we don't have a main file. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll create a main file and an index file. The main file is our home. No? So home na lang siguro ng tawag natin dito. Okay, do you follow? And then we will have an index. Okay, our index is our main layout. Do you follow? Now, to be able to use Handlebars as a template engine, what you need to do is to create a folder called views. Okay, and then we'll also create, by the way, no, for a folder for CSS, no. Okay, so we create a folder, views folder, no. Anyway, it's also in the guide, no. And inside the views folder, we create a layouts subfolder. Okay, inside the layouts folder, I'll put this na lang, no. You know, inside the layouts folder, we create a file named index.handlebars. You can shorten this, no. There's a way to do that, no? Okay, that's our main layout. Now we can indicate, no, index ito. This indicates our default layout. Okay, tanggalin na lang natin muna ito, no. Okay. I'm going to upload this, no. Okay. Erase this. Ganito lang naman, no. It's in the guide, no. Okay. Handlebars. Anyway, so you have to declare that engine, okay, for that to work, no? So what we are going to do now is to create a folder under this. We'll create a folder called views. Okay, and under views, we create a folder called layouts. That's the default allocation of ano. And then maybe, no, mag-create na rin tayo ng ano, ng public folder with our CSS. Okay, because that's where we are going to use our CSS, no. Under public, we will also create, since we are here already, our CSS. Okay, any questions so far? So sa views that layout. Okay, and then index.js, we'll create an index.js. Okay, notepad muna ako, no, because I have to copy my old index.js. Bakit nawala? Wala ang aking notepad. I have opened the wrong notepad. It's because I'm using two computers. Here's the index.js. The index.js is actually just an HTML file. It's just an HTML file with an ano. Bakit nawala? Gagawa na lang tayo ng index.js. It's in the guide anyway, no? So nandito sa guide. Okay. Ito yung ating index.js. Okay? It's just an HTML code. We'll change we'll change this later, no? Kasi public yung ating ginamit eh, okay? So under layouts, we'll supply our new file called index.js. handlebars. Nandyan yung ating main layout. So let's copy this and then we'll remove the link for the style sheet. This is public.css text. This is we'll postpone this for the moment because I'm not familiar with the syntax. So index is our main layout. It's like index.html. And then if you try to look at that, no, it is a simple HTML with a header, no, with a title. This is the main page. This is the handlebars application. We'll change that later, no? Anyway. Okay. Do you follow? Ganon. Now, if you take a look, this is a handlebars language, no? No? Itong tatlo, that's why it's called a mustache. No? Kasi it's look like a standing mustache. There are only two indicators, no? A triple mustache and a double mustache, no? A triple mustache means render this as HTML. That's why we have this, no? So render that body as HTML. Other than that, it will be rendered as a variable. The value of the variable that is there is injected. It's called injection, no? So the body is going to be injected here. Do you follow? Let's look at our server.js. Okay. Now there's a part here which says render home and layout is index. So we are going to create, no, in the views folder, we are going to create a home.handlebars. Okay. Do you follow? And then we don't have to put the whole HTML there, no? We can just put the partials, no? Because these are called partials already, no? This is the home page. Okay. File save. Can we run this? And then try to open our at local 3000. Okay, that's the home page. Do you follow? Take note that everything that is rendered, how did it happen? Look at our index, every time there's a call to render, no? Ito, render home layout index. It means that we are going to use the main layout index as the main, that handlebars as our main index. Okay, and then home.handlebars is going to be rendered. Okay, do you follow? But it's going to be rendered as a body of this, no? The first thing that it will render is the main layout, which is index.handlebars, and then the file that being rendered will be inserted as a body here. Do you follow? Do you get my point? Okay. Okay. Any questions so far? So it should be under views, no? Okay. Now we can create an about and a contact page, no? So create na lang tayo, no? Let us create an about page. No, it's not under layouts, no? It should be under views, no? Let's create an about handlebars. Okay, so we'll just say H2, H1 is about page. Do you follow? And then let's create a contact page, no? Kasi, no? Under views, no? It's under views. We'll call this contact. Okay. Just copy this. page. Okay. Do you follow? So now in our server.js, we can, before we proceed, no, there's a way to avoid, sige, let's do that, no. We now have a route for the home page. Now let's have a route for the about page. About. And a route for the contact page. So take note, no? When we get the route for contact, we are going to render contact. What is rendered? Contact.handlebars. Do you follow? Do you follow? Any questions so far? I hope you are following, no? This is a very important topic, no? It's very useful, no? Because later we are going to go and then let's stop this. Control C and then run it again. Okay. Wala pa node mo, no? Okay. So that is the home page, and you say about that. Bakit wala? Let's say contact. Yeah, ang ating about hindi nag-render, no? Baka nagkamali ako ng copy, no? Let's look at the about page. Sa contact, we will render contact. The about page, we will render about. Let's look at the about page handlebars. Hindi siya nag-render. Okay. Baka mali na, it's in the right it's in the right ano, it's in the right views folder. Okay. Bakit hindi siya nag-render? This is contact that handlebars. This is, where's our home? This is the home page. Okay. Our server.js. Okay. So it's supposed to, so on the root, it will render home.handlebars. I'm not sure why the about did not work. Okay. Let me run it again. No. Ito talaga siya nag-work, oh. Contact. Nag-work ang contact. Home. Let's just rename, okay? Rename na natin. Just create it again. Handlebars ba o handlebar? Let me look at the server.js. Handlebars, no? Handlebars. Okay. Hindi nag-work yung ano. Let's delete this first. Okay. And then in our let's remove this first. Find out what's wrong with that later. Okay. Now, if you are using Ubuntu, you can say nodemon server.js. But now we cannot do that because we are not running as admin. you do a sudo and then node mon, okay? Okay. Then let's try to render contact. Okay, let's try to render about again. May error yung ating about page, no? Sige lang, wala pa man tayong about page. Slash about. Wala siya na. In the views directory, in the partials views. No, it's not going to be partials. Okay? So sa partials na naghanap. Okay? Okay. So let's create an about. Handlebars. Kami mali lang tayo kanina, no? No. Sa layouts, it's in the wrong place. Ooh. Okay. Wala tayong mga magawa. I'll check this out later, no? Just this one more time kung bakit hindi siya magana. But I have a hindi naman siya nag-error. Just didn't display. Ayan, nag-work na siya kanina. No, I am not sure. Maybe there's something wrong with that's the home page, and this is now our contact page. Do you follow? No. Okay. So that's we are trying to put that's the main concept, no, of injection. We can inject HTML by the triple mustache. We can inject variables by the double mustache. Any questions so far, no? Now, there's a way to simplify this because medyo what you don't like is that's the syntax, okay? Okay. We can put a path. Let us use path, no? Path is useful for Windows users. Okay, sometimes because the file path may be different, no? If you are using Windows, it is recommended that you use path. Okay? Okay? Dito natin ilalagay yung path. Okay? So that you will be able to identify your directory. Okay? So dito sa path, you say path.join year name, comma, no? Views.layouts. Andun yung ating main layout, right? Okay? Do you follow? So, the advantage with this is if you transfer the path to a different folder, you don't have to rename the paths or the routes one by one. No? Automatically, the path, okay? There's a default layout, also default layout. We'll call it index. Okay? So that if you have a default layout in the engine, you don't have to place this anymore. Okay? Meron siyang default layout and it points to index.ejs. So this is simpler, no? Okay. I'm removing this because this is from the guide, no? But the guide is not always the simplest sometimes, no? So what I added is a default layout when I define the engine, okay? It's index.handlebars. Okay, let me run this now. Okay. Okay, and then contact. Okay, do you follow? Okay. Any questions so far? So nalagay na natin, no? Because we are doing, what we are going to do is later inject our CSS. No? Anyway, before we do that, habol pa natin. No? Let me introduce partials. No? What are partials? Anyone? Partials are divs. Okay, are like divs, which you place, no, on all parts, on any part of all pages, no, which you do not want to repeat. For example, the navigation bar, no? You can make it a partial HTML that you will have to put as header in all of your pages, and you don't have to require, no, or rather to install the navigation bar in each of the page, because that is very time consuming. Aside from that, if you change the handlebar and you have 100 pages, you have to visit all those 100 pages and then change the, the navigation bar, something which we do not want to do. Okay, so what I would like to do is to create a uniform navigation bar for, for all of them. Okay, do you follow? Okay, where do we put that? The partials, views that partials. Okay, we'll have to create a partials folder under views.
So sir, kung magamit ng partials, dapat naka-express kami.
Yes. Hindi pwede na hindi. No, naka-express sa handlebars. Okay? Kasi iba rin yung partials na gagamitin sa AGS. Iba rin, no? Do you follow? Do you get my point?
Yes, sir.
Hindi pwedeng AGS lang. AGS and handlebars, okay? O, i-open ko muna yung aking kasi nakalimutan ko na yung how to declare the partials. No, bakit ayaw? File, open folder. Ganito, no? Dapat views partials. Do you follow? And this is my header. Okay, I'll copy this. And then, okay, in each of your of your pages, you'll just put this, no? Do you follow? Let me just copy this na lang, no? The header on views partials. Take note, you have a folder called views. You will have a subfolder called partials. No? Okay. Wala pa akong partials dito, so let me create partials. Okay. So it's a different and then I'll paste. Can I paste the Yes, nandito na yung header, no? The header is just a menu. So gagawin natin active contact about. Now take note no? Take note of this. When you create an href on the server side, you just put the routes. Do you follow? Routes lang, no? No .html, no whatever. Basta the path are defined by the express and paths, no? So this is the route, the about route, this is the contact route, this is the home route. Okay? Do you follow? How do we inject this partial in our pages, no? So for example, we can inject header. How did we do that? Ganun lang ba? Pihendo natin, no? Wala bang Is it, kasi let me just baka pwede kasi merong merong additional character. Open folder. Dito sa header. Wala. Meron ganito. Dash, right. Okay, do you follow? That's the indicator that you are going to insert a partial. Do you follow? Now, without that, you are inserting a variable. Okay? Any questions so far? No? So, yung ating home, lagyan natin ng ganito.
Bale, sir, pareho lang siya doon sa pag-import sa CSS.
Yes, halos pareho lang. Iba yung syntax. Do you follow? Because this is in the server side. No. Ibang may konting pagkakaiba. The CSS is important exactly like it's in on the client side, okay? Ito lalagyan natin. Take note, no? This is injection of a partial, no? Yung my greater than sign is how you inject a partial. Okay? If there's no greater than sign, you're injecting a variable. Okay? Any questions so far? So very useful ito, no? Now there's another way, of course, in EJS, no? So we now have the main the partial, okay, and then we'll say about is also in the partial contact. Okay. Ang maganda dito, when you click this, you go to the main page, you go to the about page, and you go to the contact page. Did you follow? Any questions so far? Any questions? So now, you know what partials are, no? They are your main, they are your sub pages. Okay. So take note, no, route lang ilalagay that you indicate in your main HTML. Okay, in your header. Of course, you can also have a footer, no? Pwede rin tayo maglagay ng footer. Shall we say in our parcel? Let's create footer. Handlebars. Okay. Kopyahin natin itong header. Ano, hindi na lang, no? The footer goes below. It's good that in your pages, you always use a div, no? So that you can size the div. Okay. We'll have H3. Right. Sorry. Mali yung ating H3. Dinagdagan na tuloy niya. Because there's emet installed, no? Mali yung unang H3. Okay. So, we have here our, no? So, very easy, no? We have our footer. We can install it in our, no? In each of our, no? So, we can have a div here. So, you can, no? Maglagay ka muna ng div so you can, and the slash div. I'm sorry. Okay. And then we will put the footer here. Copy this para we can save the error. Okay. Footer. Okay. So let's copy this in each of our, ano. Then we'll put a div. Because if you have a div, you can assign an ID and then you can style further, no? Pwede mong using CSS, you can style it further. About page. Okay, let's try to run this. So naka ano na, no? Okay. May footer. Walang, yung ating main page, walang footer. Okay. So we'll go to the main page and put the footer. Maybe we made a mistake, no? Or maybe we missed it. No? Okay. Bakit walang footer yung ating main page? Well, I'm not sure, no? Walang siyang footer. May footer man sana, no? Ayan, meron na. Kulang na siguro ng refresh. Okay. Do you follow? You have header, you have footer, and you will have a content here. Okay. Any questions so far? Now let's do one more thing, no? Final thing, no? CSS, the favorite, no? You can do your, no? You can even do use W3 CSS or handle or no bootstrap later, no? How do we CSS? We do it the normal way, no? Do you follow? First, you should create a public folder. That's why here we have a public folder. Close ko muna ito. Paano ba mag-close? No? Let me close it again. Kasi dalawang folder na eh. Bakit nagkaganito? Let me close it. Okay. Do you follow? So I have a public folder, and under public I have CSS. Another folder called CSS. Now I can define a file here called styles.css. Okay. Okay, so tama siya, styles.css. Now to make a long story short, let us go back to W3 schools, no? Balik tayo konti, no? Para gagawin nating navigation bar, okay? Horizontal navigation bar. Okay. So ito yung sample ng W3 schools, okay? Okay. So ito, no? Ito ba? Fixed navigation, gray navigation bar, sticky navigation bar. Ang dami, no? Ganyan, no? Okay. Then bakit wala tayong try? Diba? Try it yourself. Bakit walang try? Nandito, no? Do you follow? This is side navigation. If you like responsive top nav, okay? We can use this. Okay. So ito yung styles. May mga ano siya. Let's may ID. So let's not use this. Yung simple lang. But you can use that, no? By putting IDs, no? To your ano sticky, no? Okay. Ito, try natin. Pangit. Pero sige na lang. Anyway, what we just need is this style, no? Ipahin natin sa ano. We'll copy this. Okay. And then we'll put it here. Okay. And then we'll put a link, of course, no? Dito sa, where do we put the link? In our main layout. Okay? Dito sa ating main layout, we'll put a link in the header. Okay? Dito, in the head. Like that, no? CSS styles.css. Okay? Automatically, Handlebars will look for a public folder and a CSS folder under it. So ito. Do you follow? Excuse me. Come on. For a while na. For a while. Dai. Ayun, nag-abot na eh. Okay. So let's run this. And let's go to our local host. No, saan ba ako napunta? I went to the wrong ano. Ayan. Do you follow? Okay? Okay? Do you follow? No? Do you get my point, everyone? I'll upload this code. Okay? So meron na siyang CSS, no? You can integrate everything using path and public. So what did we do today? We introduced a new concept called a templating engine. It's called a views language also. No? And the particular views language that we are introducing is called Handlebars. Next meeting, we will also introduce you to. I will also introduce you to another popular views language called EJS or Embedded JavaScript. One of the main differences is itong handlebars can be used in the front end using handlebars.js. Mag-link ka lang. Do you follow? EJS is strictly for Express.js. Do you follow? So it's called Embedded JavaScript. These are the two most popular nowadays. No? And then the sample codes for CRUDs, the sample CRUDs, which are there, which I have searched for you, are in two flavors. Do you follow? Yung kay Tatmon, Touchmaker, is in EJS. The one by Esterling Axime is in Handlebars. Do you follow? But you should be able, as a student, you should be able to convert Handlebars into EJS and EJS into Handlebars. Okay. Now there are other things that I'd like you to look at. Hindi ko kasi we're running out of time. I'd like you to look at injection of helpers, no? So maganda kasi itong ni Axime, no? Yung series niya. I've finished it, no? Except the last one, the 14th, no? Yung CRUD. Anyway, there's a code already, no? Handlebars. Please look at helpers, no? Helpers ito. If helper, how do you do an if then else? How do you do a for loop? I'll try to introduce you to a for loop next meeting. Can we do that, no? Can we try to do that, no? For helper in Handlebars. Kasi meron naman itong no? Meron siyang syntax. Before we do this, may mga if then else, no? Do you follow? I'd like you to look at that. It should be very easy for you having learned a lot of languages at this point, no? If then else lang naman yan, and then there's also a for loop. Each. Okay? Each. I'll try to do that later, no? But for the moment, before I forget, no? Kasi meron tayo ditong how do we inject the title? Kasi this is Handlebars app, oh. You follow? What I'd like to do is when you say this, you look at this, no? Okay? They follow? Okay. We can inject, no? Variables, no? Okay. We can inject variables in our JavaScript code here, no? So now in our main layout, instead of what's the title? Saan ba tayo nakalagay ng title? Dito dapat sa layout, no? Bakit walang title? Ito, no? This is handlebars app. We can also inject a title here. No? So, pwede tayo mag-injection title. Okay? Like that, no? So that, for example, in our, let's go to home, no? In server.js. Dapat sa server.js. Okay. This home, no? We will pass a variable title. Home page. Okay, it's in JSON format, no? All the variables should be in JSON format, no? So if you pass another variable, you just separate with the comma. Okay. Let's try to do that. Home page, take note, no? Do you follow? So you can inject a variable without having to use document that get element by ID. So now we can inject different titles, no, to the different routes. Home, this is about so you can inject variables and then you can show them using the double curly mustache, no? Okay. So that's the home page. This is the about page now, and this is the contact page now. No? So you can really inject variables. You can do formulas. You can do computations inside. Sorry, no, wala na ito sila Norias. You can do computations inside and inject them into your web page using the views file that you created. Now, so now I hope you understand what a view is. Okay, it's like an HTML which you can edit in the back end. It's a different language. No, it's a different language. No, usually it adopts a different language. Like in our case, we're using handlebars. Okay. Meron tayong ano no? Let's try to do still since we have time, no? Let's try to look at our, di ba may sample tayo na ano? We have a sample API, list of users, no? Why don't we list them, no? Meron tayong sample API, di ba? What I'd like to do is get the list of users and create a page for it, no? From the API itself. Kasi meron tayong mock API, no? We have a mock server. Yung examples, no? I think it's examples that I'm not sure, no? Unstable. Okay, it's no problem. Nawala yung ating ano, no? I'm looking for when we discussed Postman. Postman. Meron tayong sample ano baka na-delete. May have deleted it, no? Ito, sample JSON APIs, no? Okay. You can say users. Ayan. Okay. So, bibigay niya. Ilan lang ito? About 11. Okay. What I'd like to do is to fetch this from that server and then display it on a page in our sample page. No? And then we also have here how to retrieving APIs, no? how to retrieve APIs, no? It's just like this, no? Okay. Okay, but before that, we should have a template. Okay, so we have request for this, no? Kukupihin natin ito in our server. Do we need to install request? Ano lang, no? I'm lost here, no? Kasi ang dami kong ginagawang ano. Ito si request. Is request, ano, no? I'm not sure if request is a core module, but anyway, we'll just try to do that, no? Mag-error naman ito, no? Yeah. Let me Google, no? You have to install request. It's not a core module, no? In Node.js. Yes, it's a request module, no? The request module is not part. No? npm install request. npm. Pwede na natin i-save. Okay, deprecated na daw. Okay. Okay. So, wala yung aking ano. The problem is I'm lost again. The sample code is here, no? So, let us create in our server.js a path for users, no? Of course, we're going to make a user's page. Here it is, no? I-erase na muna natin. Let's just comment this out. So we are going to get this from our sample, no? Where's that again? So this is the JSON place folder. Okay. Okay. Do you follow? Locals. So we'll call this, we'll call users. Okay. Okay. And then we'll have a users page. We'll just copy it anyway, no? Okay. And then in our this relist natin yung ano. What we'll do is we will list using the for loop. Okay. But before we do that, we'll go to our header and then we'll add users. Sorry. And we list down the users that we got from another web page. Okay. Sandali, may error. Unexpected end of input. Where is that? Okay. Where's that? Si request, wala na, deprecated na kasi. Baka may kulang, no? Kasi, yeah. Ito, function. So, this should end with one brace. Function, right? Ang if is terminated with a brace. And then this function is terminated with a brace. And the request that get should be terminated by a like that. Okay. Okay. So nag-work siya ngayon. Okay. Contact pa rin. Users. Let's make it users, no? Partials, the header. Let's make it users. Okay. So let's look for each example. Ito yung each, no? Each. Tapos locals. Wala siyang example, no? Looping. Okay. Ano? Each locals, no? Can we do that? Copy this and then put it here in our users. Each. Let's look at users first. No, sorry. Server.js. The name of the variable is locals. Okay, and then from our sample API, Where's that? Sample JSON API. / users. Name muna tayo. Okay. Now in users. Okay. Employee name. This that name. Yes. Username. Walang age. Email. This that email. Okay. Username. It should be username. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Iba rin to, sir, sa Ajax.
Actually, Ajax dito eh. Kasi JSON, this thing is
Okay.
JSON ito, Ajax ito. So you follow? Ajax itong binigay ng API. But this, we are not generating the Ajax. Kasi Ajax is sent, ang output ng Ajax, di ba, JSON? Di ba? JSON. All Ajax will always output. So that's the server that created this used Ajax. Okay? If you have time, we will discuss how to generate Ajax from the server. Do you follow?
Pero iba rin, sir, yung gina-display mo yung data using jQuery sa yung dyan.
Kasi yung Ajax galing sa server. Pwede mo ito i-display using jQuery.
Okay.
But this time we are using handlebars. Okay? Do you follow?
So, pwede either way, sir.
Mas detail kung doon ka sa kung doon mo gagawin sa client side. 'Di ba? Mas complicated ang coding doon sa client side. Of course, you can do that kasi you can incorporate any JavaScript. Okay? Any JavaScript library you can incorporate in Node.js kasi pareho rin naman silang They're the same JavaScript. Okay? Bakit hindi na gano'n, no? Okay. Hindi nag-work yung each locals, okay? Do you follow? What I'm trying to do here is to get the locals being passed here in server.js. Kinuha natin siya from JSON placeholder which returns, no? Kukunin niya lahat yung to a variable called locals. Locals ba? And look at this, no? Parse niya yung body. And then, since it's now in JSON, locals is a JSON format. Okay? Sorry. What I'm trying to do is to display all the users here from another web page, okay? From the API. Now, there are many ways to skin a cat, no? You can do this in jQuery, but imagine the complexity, no? If you're going to do everything in the front end. I'll try to review this, no? And then finish this next meeting. We'll discuss briefly, no? The helpers that are available. Yung paano mag-loop, how do you do an if then else, how do you do? Actually, there are only two statements. No, there's an unless, there's an each, and then I forgot the helpers, no? Let's look at that. Handlebar. You can look at the video, no? The video by Axime. Okay. Okay. How to do an if then else. There's an if. Do you follow? And then if unless there's an unless, it's the opposite of if, and then there's an each. Tatlong main helpers, no? If, unless, and each. Now there's no operator, no, which means you cannot do an and or, no? Do you follow? Do you follow? So you can only use single conditions. So you may ask, how do we make complex conditions? You do it in your JavaScript before. Do you follow? Dito mo gagawin yung, and then you pass the variable as either true or false. So the if then else, you do it in JavaScript, no? Dito sa ano, sa Express.js. And then you pass it to as a variable to your view. And then you can do an if then, an if else with a simple condition inside the view. Any questions? Because it's a very simple, and that's why also EJS is more popular. There's an advantage with using EJS because EJS is really like JavaScript. It's called embedded JavaScript. Do you follow? You can do more complex if then else statements there. Kasi mas marami siyang operators and so on and so forth. Anyway, we will discuss EJS next meeting. Okay, we'll try to cover and try to differentiate, no, to point out the differences. There are very few differences, but in your case, no, it is a must that as students you should be able to translate from Handlebars to EJS and back again. Okay, any questions so far? Malapit na tayo matapos, no? So I think you should be able to run the sample by Axime and by TouchMaker. If you want to use EJS, you study the one used by created by TouchMaker, and then if you want to use Handlebars, you study the one created by Axime. Okay. Any questions so far? So I'll upload this now, and then the sample codes, I'll also upload this. But there's a lot of sources, no, in the internet regarding Node.js and Express.js. No? Ang daming sources nito, ang daming support. This is because it's the first open source, no? It's the ultimate open source, no? Ito pala lang yung mga helpers, no? If, unless, each, with. Okay? There are only 4 helpers. Okay? Okay. So next meeting, no, will be cramming up. Matapos natin yung EJS, and then after that, the final topic will be MySQL. Okay? How do you access MySQL? It's already in the sample code. Questions so far? So see you next meeting now, everyone. Okay. Bye, everyone. If you're sleeping, watch the video. Okay. Bye, everyone. It's time to go.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye, everyone.